Not long ago, my wife and I were privileged to take our church's teenagers to a youth rally here in Connecticut at a Baptist church in the city of Waterbury. It was a great day, with teens from all over the Northeast. During the course of the day, 3 different men gave their testimony: the youth pastor who was hosting the meeting, the guest preacher, and then the third man to share his story was a member of the church there, a man in his 40s who had been saved for just 3 years. This man had lived his whole life there in Waterbury, Connecticut. Waterbury is a city of about 120,000 people, and everybody familiar with the area knows that there's some pretty tough neighborhoods there. The man giving his testimony had grown up in one of those tough neighborhoods. He said that when he was a child, one of his parents was an alcoholic and the other was a drug addict. So throughout his childhood, he had to fend for himself. In his teen years, he lived on the streets. He got involved in drugs and crime, and he was always in trouble with the law. He fathered 2 children with his girlfriend before he was 20, and he wanted to take care of them. But the only way he could find to make money was through crime. He decided to join the military, but because he had a felony on his record, he was rejected. Everyone in that room listened intently as he described the pain and heartache of his life without Jesus. One day when he was in his 40s, he was driving past that Baptist church. He had passed it many times before, but on this day, he felt compelled to go inside. He met the pastor, and the pastor showed him how to be saved. The man believed on Jesus, and the Lord completely changed his life. Praise God. Early on in the story, almost in passing, as he was describing his childhood, the man said this: "There was a church bus that used to come into our neighborhood when I was a boy, and I rode the bus to church every week." Then he made this statement, word for word: "But the bus stopped coming. I don't know why, but the bus stopped coming." That's all he said about it. He didn't blame anybody. He simply stated, the bus stopped coming. I don't know why, but the bus stopped coming. Later in his testimony, after he told us how he got saved, he said, "I wish I'd made that choice 30 years sooner." That man's words stayed with me for days. The bus stopped coming. I don't know why, but the bus stopped coming. I wondered how many other people who grew up in an impossible situation got saved 30 years later than they should have because the bus stopped coming. How many men and women are sitting in prison right now because the bus stopped coming? How many people have been hooked on drugs for 5, 10, 20 years because the bus stopped coming? How many people are living on the streets somewhere in our country because they never learned a better way? And the reason they never learned is that the bus stopped coming. How many people have died and gone into eternity without Christ because the bus stopped coming? There are tens of millions of people in America who will never visit a gospel-preaching church, will never hear the gospel message, and will never learn about the peace, the joy, the victory, and the stability they can have in Jesus Christ unless a bus worker from a Bible-believing church goes into their neighborhood, seeks them out, reaches them for Christ, and faithfully, consistently, and persistently follows through with them. The bus ministry is so much more than just providing transportation for people who want to come to church but have no way to get there. The bus ministry is going into neighborhoods, finding people who don't even know to look for God, who have no idea how or where to find Him, and not just giving them a ride to church, but showing them with your life, week after week, how to know God, and how to be a part of a church that God can use to transform their lives. I don't know why the bus stopped coming when that man was a boy. And to be clear, that bus from 30 years before wasn't from the church that was hosting the youth rally. Why did that bus stop coming to pick up that little boy? It may have been because the people who worked on that bus decided that they were too busy to visit on Saturday. Maybe the bus stopped coming because the bus driver got too old to drive the bus and no other man in the church was willing to do the hard work of getting his CDL. Maybe the bus stopped coming because that church decided to start trying to attract crowds instead of reaching people. Maybe it was because the church people stopped giving the money that it took to keep the buses on the road. Maybe it was because the church people got tired of the bus riders messing up their nice buildings. Maybe it was because the pastor decided it was time for their church to go in a different direction. Who knows why the bus stopped coming? But one thing we do know, our towns and cities are filled with people who don't even know that they're depending on you and me to reach them for Christ, whatever it takes. Christian, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. Stay the course.